Hi everyone and welcome to my class. Today I'd like to show you an example of a presentation on a visual that we did in class. So obviously there are two aspects that are going to be involved. One is talking about a presentation. And as you can see right now, I'm eliciting responses from the students about what makes a good presentation and what makes a bad presentation. So what we're going to be doing for the first couple of minutes is just generating a list. Prior to this exercise, students had watched some presentations by Steve Jobs and Stan Sigman. They had been given a rubric where they had to evaluate the two presentations. In these sequences, obviously Steve Jobs did a much better job than Stan Sigman did. And students were able to discuss on a Moodle forum the differences between the two presentations. So now we fast forwarded a little bit. We've generated a list of what makes a good presentation, and you can see some of the items on the whiteboard. And now I'm eliciting from the students some of the qualities of a bad presentation. Okay, this went on for a couple of minutes, and then in the next sequence, after we finish making the list, you're going to see that I've invited two guests. And these guests are actually English language teaching assistants at our English Language Center. And one of them is going to be doing a good presentation, and one is going to be doing a bad presentation. So this is an example of one. You can see she's reading, she's not making eye contact. Students were pretty bored, they weren't paying attention to her. So obviously this was an example of a bad presentation. And later we're going to talk about some of the other things that she did incorrectly. The next speaker is delivering a good presentation. And even without hearing him, you can watch him and watch his body language. You can see that he's making eye contact with the audience. His posture is good. He is right now engaging with the students by asking them questions, interacting with them through thought-provoking forecasts that he's making. He's using body language. He's using gestures and a lot of movement. So after these two demonstrations of a good presentation and a bad presentation, I had students to evaluate some of the things that the bad presenter had done. And then after that, they'll be evaluating some of the things that the good presenter had done. So I've called a student to come up, and she's ticking the items that the female presenter uh, did. These things are representative of a bad presentation. So she read cue cards, she used very difficult, complicated words. She didn't show any interaction with the audience. She had no movement. She spoke softly. And as you could tell when the female presenter was doing her speech, it was memorized and there was no interaction at all with the audience. Okay, now I'm asking them if there are any other items that they noticed during the presentation that weren't on our original list. So for example, the female presenter was too fast. She sighed during the middle of her presentation by going, ah, and she didn't use any gestures. She didn't pause. She continued to read and read and read. And she didn't paraphrase any relevant points. You could tell that the female presenter didn't really prepare a lot. And most importantly, she really didn't engage at all with the audience. So I thought this was a really good skill for students, and it was a great warm-up so that they could see what the difference between good and bad presentations are, so that hopefully when they have to do their own presentation, they will be making good presentations now that they've identified all of the key aspects of a good presentation. So for the next part of the lesson, again, I'm calling on a student, really encouraging someone to come and volunteer, to come up to the front of the board. She's going to tick off some of the items that the male presenter did a good job with. Some of the ones that you can see that she's ticked already includes body language, gestures, eye contact, visual aids, movement, the ability to speak fluently, and the fact that he was really well prepared. Right now I'm asking the student which thing impressed her the most, and she's telling me that she really liked that he had a lot of gestures, that he was well prepared, and her overall evaluation of him was that he was an excellent speaker. Okay, during the next part of the lesson, students are moving into groups. They randomly chosen names of people who are going to be their partners. I always think this is really important to make sure that they're moving around and meeting different people during every class. They should never be assigned the same partner twice, I think. This keeps it exciting for them, not knowing who's going to be their partner. And of course, it allows them to learn more from each other when they're always moving around and making different partners during every class. We have a classroom set of iPads that I loan out to the students when we're doing activities with the iPads. And right now they're scanning the QR code for the next activity that we're going to be doing. The QR code that I use on the iPad is from Enigma, which is one of the apps that you can download on the iPad. And this is where it takes them. It takes them to a link for today's meet. And you can see that they've already kind of all checked in and they've said hello. And I know that each of the pairs is now online. And for this activity, they are first looking in their book and looking at the new vocabulary that we had learned. And all of these vocabulary are related to describing a visual. Again, the topic of this module is a presentation on a visual. So we're learning not only about presentations, but we're also learning about describing visual, any kind of images, artwork. So this is the first time that students are going to be learning the vocabulary, and I've given them lots of different pictures to match up with the vocabulary. And what they've done with the iPads is that they've looked through the vocabulary list, and the first person who could type up the answer to the correct vocabulary word and post it on today's meet would get a point. At the end of that, students were given some pictures, and these pictures were from the PowerPoint, and they would have to use the new vocabulary words to try to describe the pictures that they were assigned. And here you can see two ladies have volunteered. They're talking about their visuals. And now the second pair of students are talking about their visuals. Some of the words that they're using to describe this particular picture that you see is the word vibrant or geometric. Those were some of the new vocabulary words that they used. Other words include organic, natural, earthy, pale, breathtaking, captivating. So all of these were new words for the students. And this exercise, getting them to make a presentation in front of the class, obviously is not only going to help them when they make their individual presentations, but it's helping to build their confidence in using the new vocabulary. And you can see homework is on the board. And that was our class. Thank you.